The Super 10 of North American Big Game has become the most popular award within the Grand Slam Club Ovis family of Slam Quest, and rightfully so. To accomplish the Super 10, one must do a lot of big game hunting in many different parts of North America. Furthermore, one must hunt not only the mountain species, but the broad range of antlered game, and yes, the big predators too. It was a muskox from NWT taken in October 2022 that earned Dana Adams of Michigan the Super 10 milestone. Dana's been on a mission lately as she took 7 of her 10 animals in the last 2 years. You saw her American mountain goat from Kodiak Island, Alaska, taken in September 2020, and the following year, she added a great Alaska Yukon moose to her Super 10 quest. We'll finish up with Dana's Desert Bighorn from Sonora, Mexico, taken in December 2021. We'd like to invite Jed Brown of Texas to the stage to receive his Super 10 award. Jed is a Grand Slammer, and his first North American ram was a Doll sheep from Alaska taken in 2001. A few years later, in September 2010, Jed was back in Alaska, only this time he was after grizzly bears. In 2011, Jed was fortunate to take a Quebec Labrador caribou prior to the closure of that species. Jed completed his Super 10 in April of 2018 with a muskox from Nunavut. Jack Caballo of Colorado completed his Super 10 in February 2020 with a mountain lion taken in Wyoming. Jack has trophies dating back to the mid-1970s, and one of his earliest North American hunts was to BC in 1977 when he took a stone sheep, mountain goat, and Canada moose. Moving closer to the present, Jack did another multi-species hunt in 2017. He took both the Central Canadian Barren Ground caribou and a muskox on a hunt in Greenland. Next, we'd like to call Robert Cerrone of New Jersey to the stage for his Super 10 recognition. One of Robert's earliest trophies was a Sitka black-tailed deer from Kodiak Island, Alaska, taken back in 1989. Moving closer to the present, Robert scored on a beautiful stone sheep in 2019, and the following year, he traveled to Utah and took a great Rocky Mountain elk. Robert completed his Super 10 in September 2022 on a hunt at Nunavut, where he got a Central Canadian Barren Ground caribou. It was a Colorado bison that earned Rick Gardner of Nevada the Super 10 milestone. He took that bull in January of 2018. One of Rick's earliest North American trophies was his Rocky Mountain elk from New Mexico, taken in October 1995. Rick is a Grand Slammer, and his stone sheep from BC came in August of 2001. We'll finish up by showing you Rick's home state cougar, taken right here in Nevada back in December 2014. Next, we'd like to recognize Renaud Grolio of Quebec for completing his Super 10 milestone, and we'll begin with the self-guided whitetail Renaud arrowed in his home province of Quebec back in 1998. Moving along, Renaud used his archery equipment once more in September 2010 when he connected on a Quebec Labrador caribou. The stone sheep is up next for Renaud, and he took that ram in BC back in September 2020. So the stage was set, and in March 2022, Renaud arrowed a muskox in Nunavut to finish out his Super 10 milestone. Like many others, Rex Hamlet of North Carolina completed his Super 10 milestone with a muskox. That fine bull came in August 2022 on a hunt in NWT. Rex traveled to Alaska in September 2012, where he found success on a grizzly bear. An American mountain goat is up next for Rex, and it too was taken in Alaska back in September 2017. As for the caribou, Rex took an impressive Central Canadian Barren Ground caribou in October 2019 while on a hunt in Nunavut. We're pleased to recognize Vanessa Harrop of Alberta for achieving her Super 10 milestone, and we'll begin by showing you the Rocky Mountain Bighorn Vanessa took back in September 2007 on a self-guided hunt. Moving along, Vanessa traveled to the Yukon in August 2012 and got a grizzly bear, and she used her bow to take a mountain lion in British Columbia in December 2016. Number 10 on the list for Vanessa was a great muskox from NWT, which she got in August 2022. Next, we call West Virginia's Tom Kimball to the stage for his Super 10 recognition. He will begin his presentation with his 10th North American species, a muskox from NWT taken in August 2022. Backing up is one of Tom's earliest entries, a Barren Ground caribou from Alaska taken in 1993. Moving closer to the present, Tom took a mule deer in Colorado in 2017, and his Rocky Mountain Bighorn from December 2018 was taken in Wyoming. It was a Rocky Mountain elk from New Mexico taken just last month in December 2022 that got Therese Mueller of Idaho to the Super 10 milestone. Backing up, you see Therese and her husband Craig with the mule deer she took in Sonora, Mexico back in 2009. Moving along, Therese scored an Alaska Doll sheep back in August of 2017, and we'll finish up by showing you the American mountain goat Therese took on a hunt in British Columbia back in October 2018. We'd now like to call longtime GSCO supporter Craig Nakamoto of Iowa to the stage for his Super 10 recognition. Craig is a Grand Slammer, and he saw his stone sheep from BC taken back in 2002 first. 2018 was a very busy year for Craig as he got closer to his Super 10. His Wyoming Cougar was taken in February of that year. Then in September, he traveled to Kodiak Island, Alaska to get his mountain goat. Finally, in November 2018, Craig scored on a great Nebraska whitetail to round out his presentation here tonight. That completes Group 1. And now for our next group. Ryan Onufrichuk of Saskatchewan, Canada, is up next to receive his Super 10. You see Ryan with his cougar from Idaho taken back in January of 2013. Up next for Ryan is his home province whitetail deer, which he got in 2014, and in 2018 he traveled to Alaska and found success on a great Doll sheep. Once again, it was a muskox that completed the Super 10 for Ryan, and he took that bull on a hunt in Nunavut back in April 2022. Wisconsin's Brandon Rickard is up next for Super 10 recognition, and we'll begin with his South Dakota bison taken in December 2014. The following year, Brandon hunted mountain goats in British Columbia, and in 2019 he arrowed an impressive white-tailed deer in his home state of Wisconsin. Rounding out tonight's presentation, Brandon achieved his Super 10 in November 2022 with a Rocky Mountain elk from Colorado. Longtime GSCO exhibitor and donor Doug Roth of California spends the majority of his hunting season outfitting and guiding clients, but he still manages to get out and do some hunting for himself. He saw his muskox taken in April 2022 on a hunt in Greenland, which completed the Super 10 for Doug. Up next was his goose deer from Sonora, Mexico, taken in 2005. Doug has taken 2 stone sheep, and his ram from 2013 was a real beauty. We'll finish up with Doug's Canada moose from BC, taken in September 2016. TJ Schwenke of Alberta, Canada is our next Super 10 recipient to recognize. One of TJ's earliest North American trophies was an American mountain goat from BC taken in 1996. He took a wide pronghorn antelope back in 2007 in his home province of Alberta, and in 2017, TJ scored on another Alberta trophy, a mule deer. In February 2020, TJ traveled down to Sonora, Mexico, where he found success on a great desert bighorn. While on a multi-species hunt in NWT back in August 2022, Chris Seeley of Oklahoma connected on the final 2 trophies he needed to round out his Super 10 milestone. There he took a Doll sheep as number 9 and finished his Super 10 with an American mountain goat just a few days later. Backing up, Chris hunted mountain caribou in BC in October 2018 and scored on a fine bull there. And finally, you see Chris with his Alaska brown bear, which he got in May of 2021. It was a Roosevelt elk from Oregon that earned Arizona's Chris Thays the Super 10 milestone. He took that bull in November 2021. Backing up, you see Chris with his New Mexico bison taken in 2014 and his Columbia black-tailed deer from Oregon, which came in November 2020. We'll finish up with Chris's impressive barren ground grizzly bear from Nunavut taken in May of 2022. Next up, we call Wyoming's Mark Wells to the stage for his Super 10 milestone. Back in June of 2013, Mark arrowed a black bear on a hunt in Saskatchewan. In 2016, he did a self-guided hunt for Rocky Mountain elk in his home state of Wyoming. Mark is a 3/4 slammer, and his impressive Doll sheep you see here was taken in NWT in September 2019. Mark achieved his Super 10 in March 2022 with a great muskox bull from Nunavut. Lyle Wood of Alberta finished up Super 10 journey in March of 2022. While on a hunt in Nunavut, he scored both a muskox as well as a great polar bear. Lyle traveled to Wyoming in October 2018, where he got a pronghorn antelope, and will finish tonight's presentation with the big Alaska Yukon moose Lyle took on a hunt in the Yukon back in August of 2021. We're pleased to recognize Sergei Yastremsky of Russia for completing his Super 10, and he's actually just one animal away from completing his Super 25. You saw Sergei with his Columbia black-tailed deer, which he got on a hunt in Oregon in 2015, then his polar bear from Nunavut taken in August of 2018. The following month, Sergei traveled to Alaska and took an Alaska Yukon moose, and will finish up his presentation with the great Thule elk Sergei got on a hunt in California in July 2019. That completes Group 2. Now let's move along to the Archery Super 10 milestones. We now call Hugues Marcotte of Quebec to the stage for his Archery Super 10 recognition. Number 10 on the list for Hugues was his American Mountain Goat from British Columbia, taken back in September 2021. Backing up, he arrowed a chocolate-colored black bear on a hunt in BC back in 2014, and in October 2016, he traveled to Newfoundland to get his woodland caribou. Hugues is a three-quarter slammer, and you see him here with his most recent ram, a Rocky Mountain Bighorn from Alberta, taken in November 2019. This concludes all of our Super 10 awards for the evening. One more time, let's give all these Super 10 recipients a big round of applause.